I've been reading about this speech made by the retiring Bishop of Wesminster, who is the head of the Catholic Church in England and Wales. I can't remember his name now. Cormac something. Anyway. And one of the more irritating and perhaps controversial things that he said was to do with lack of faith or atheism. He didn't call it atheism, I don't think. But he said something like, lack of faith is the greatest evil. Suggesting faith in God, of course, suggesting atheist approach, if not a secular approach, at least kind of atheist approach, being the greatest evil. And he's got a lot of flack for that from various quarters, particularly in the light of the the revelations of widespread abuse in Catholic children's homes and Catholic schools in Ireland, for example. How dare he say that atheism is the greatest evil when those kind of things are happening in the world. But I'm trying to think of what can that... Is there a way of approaching that sentence which makes it kind of interesting and meaningful for me, other than just the kind of ravings of a senile old fool, really? So I'm thinking about this idea of faith, and I'm thinking about this idea of evil. And I have to say that those two terms, faith and evil, do not usually feature in my lexicon at all. I tend not to use either of those words for all sorts of reasons. But I'm just trying to consider, is there a way that I could find some use for them? The first thing is, so I guess, is this, on a personal level, I guess I'm asking myself, is there anything that I have something called faith in, belief without evidence, which is how I'm interpreting faith? Is there something that I have that faith in? And secondly, is there a way in which the lack of that faith, the absence of my believing without evidence in something, might lead to a kind of moral position we might consider to be evil, or a set of activities which we might consider to be evil? First part of that to do with faith. Do I have faith in things, or do I have any faith in anything? I think I do. I actually don't have faith in any of the in gods and superstitious things, as far as I'm aware. But I do. I guess we all do, in a way, have faith in things that I don't have direct evidence for. And some of that is really stupid and naive, but I guess that's me, really. Like, for example, I can't see what's behind me right now. I passed some trees a moment ago, and I passed a little bridge over a stream. They're not in my sensory field right now, so I have absolutely no direct personal evidence that those things still exist. I guess I'm using Cartesian doubt here, but I have no direct evidence those things exist. I can experimentally check to turn around. Yep, they're still there. But when my back is turned to those things, I have to assume they're there on act of faith. Now that might be a completely perverse interpretation of what faith is, but that's one of the nearest examples I can get to it. Things that exist outside of my field of vision, my field of direct experience, not just vision actually, but just direct experience, continue to exist, and I have faith in that. That might be one side of faith. Another might be faith in kind of units of organisation, which are, pardon me, units of organisation which are a different scale to myself, or which again don't impinge directly on my senses. So I have faith in the existence of something called a family, and I have faith that I have one actually. But I don't experience the family. I experience individual members of it on a moment-to-moment basis, and I experience memories of these people, and I have different understandings of how they relate to me. But the existence of this entity called a family, which I am part of and to which I make certain commitments, is something that I just have to have faith in. Again, there is evidence. If I choose to look for it, I can, look at, I don't know, the DNA records, or I can flick through family albums, or I can talk to people. But I don't have direct experience of it as a kind of, as an experiential entity. So again, some social constructions like family, and larger social constructions like community or society or nation, again, those things are kind of abstractions that I only have to, like, I believe in firmly, but that belief is an act of faith on a moment-to-moment basis, only occasionally supported by evidence, and that evidence is not always entirely convincing. And also, perhaps slightly more controversially, I have faith in the findings of empirical science. I have faith in certain theoretical constructions. I have faith in the relationship between the diameter of a circle and its circumference, as expressed in pi, in the terms of pi. I have faith in that all triangles add up to the internal angles of all triangles add up to 180 degrees. That's an act of faith. I've not experienced all triangles, and I've never measured all circles. But it's faith, and again, it's based on evidence. No matter how many triangles I go to, I will find that. No matter how many circles I go to, I'll find that. But on a moment-to-moment basis, I am making an act of faith. There's always the possibility I might find a triangle one day that's internal angles don't. I guess triangles are described on the surface of a sphere, for example, but quite apart from those well-known exceptions. So faith in those kind of things is happening. And faith in other things, like faith in history. I have certain faiths in certain kind of historical narratives that I haven't actually physically experienced. So what does that amount to in terms of my understanding of faith? I guess it's a kind of embodied understanding. I'm going to do some more thinking about this. It's really half-baked right now. But certainly I don't have faith in the kind of biblical sense, I suppose. I do have faith in an embodied experiential sense. There are experiences which do not make a direct impact on any of my senses, but nevertheless I believe that they exist and operate as if they are completely as real as the objects, the trees, the nettles, the stream, the dogs, the sounds of the cars on the bypass, all those things that are surrounding me right now. I have as strong a belief in these abstract entities as the ones that are impinging on my senses. So to that extent, and I'm probably stretching the definition ridiculously, I am making an act of faith. And what's that got to do with evil? Just to return to the retiring bishop's comment that absence of faith is the greatest evil. Well, I guess there is an argument to that. If I chose to ignore that abstract concept like society or family or community, and only kind of placed belief in the evidence of my own experience, then that would inevitably lead to a kind of selfishness, a kind of egocentricity, which I think is another word that he used in that speech, which would be, I don't know if evil is the right word, I'll have to think about that again, but it would certainly lead to a way of operating which was detrimental to the happiness and thriving of other people. And perhaps if I didn't go on the face of things like the physical universe, the laws of pi and the laws of internal angles of triangles, and all the more complex laws of nature that I invest faith in, perhaps if I didn't go invest in those and was happy to I don't know what the alternative would be actually. I guess it would lead to a kind of solipsism, or a kind of refusal to acknowledge the existence of knowledge-gathering processes which were interpersonal and which were objective, for want of a better word. And that could absolutely lead to a kind of egocentricity, a localization of knowledge, a kind of over-situated approach to what constitutes facts, and a way of acting on the basis of those highly localized facts, which again would be very detrimental and which would potentially harm other people very greatly, actually. So I think in that sense there is, for want of a better word, an evil attached to lack of faith, as I'm understanding faith and as I'm understanding evil. There's nothing to do with what the retiring head of the Catholic Church in England and Wales was on about. I absolutely don't think you need to believe in that understanding of God